It's been a long time, it's been a long day. We're gonna spend the night taking a long ride home. Yep, at long last, ladies and gentlemen, I am starting up a new recording on the Animals of Farthing Wood, The Journey of a Lifetime, with Chapter 12, The Long Ride Home. In the last part, we managed to get over the thin ice, and we were able to face our way through the long blizzard as well. Wait, we faced the blizzard long before the thin ice. Sorry. Anyways, our group of the Magnificent Seven are still together with Plucky, Dash, Scarlet, Perry, Woody, Jester, and... was it... I think it was Blitz. Yeah. Or... Rush? I think it's Blitz. So, without further ado, let's read once again. Take a swig of coffee. It had been a few weeks since the dilemma of crossing the frozen lake, and for those last few weeks, the band of animals had endured much more hardship. It was the peak of winter. More extreme snowfall, ice-cold rain, freezing winds. Despite the danger, and the growing belief between them all that Mother Nature was determined to kill them, through adversity and with courage in all their hearts, they continued to travel onwards. The group only traveled through the day as the heat from the sun was mainly the only thing that kept them warm. During the night they slept, either finding an abandoned fox earth or badger set, or sometimes they all worked together to build or dig a temporary shelter. If it was any other season they could sleep in the open, but this winter was relentless. Plucky and Dash had experienced one harsh winter in White Deer Park, as did Bolt in his adventures. Oh yeah, I remember, his name is Bolt now, not Blitz. Bolt. How is it that in real life and when reading stories, I am terrible at remembering names? Scarlet had experienced a winter too, but not one as harsh as this. Not from where she was from. But this was Perry, Woody, and Jester's first winter, as they were the youngest of the group, having only been born the previous spring. Oh! I never really knew how young they were. Wow. Plucky was also having trouble sleeping. The last few weeks he had feared for the safety of his friends, more so than his own. Although he didn't show it in his face or actions, he was beginning to feel cynical about this whole journey. He was beginning to feel as if this journey was more trouble than it was worth. However, as the self and group-proclaimed leader of the band, he was the last one of them who could be having these feelings. But his nighttime sleeplessness hadn't escaped Scarlet's attention. It was currently midday, and the sun was at its highest point in the sky, despite still being low due to the season. At midday, they knew they had to follow the sun, as it was dead center in the south of the sky, which was the direction they were traveling. The group of animals had reached the first patch of land in a month and a half that had no snow on it. Only the slushy remains from some recent rainfall. They all traveled at their usual steady pace. Plucky and Scarlet carefully scanned the surroundings on the ground for any danger, and Perry, scouting ahead, did the same. The falcon kept a weather eye around him, and soon noticed an owl flying far in front of him. He swooped down to let the others know. "There's an owl flying around here. Okay," Plucky answered, and then turned to the hares and squirrels. "Everyone, stay close," but was then cut off by a distinctive hoot of an owl. "Hoot-hoo!" An elderly owl called out to the group, startling them. The owl had perched on a tree branch above them. "Now here is an interesting sight. Predator and prey banded together as a group of traveling animals," Call it like you see it if you must. We've been through a lot, and we all stick together, Plucky answered defensively. Well, I am forced to repeat myself. It is certainly interesting. The owl chuckled and continued. Where might you be heading, if I may ask? Why should we share that information with you? We don't know you, Scarlet said wearily. No, of course not, but I am an owl. You'll be pleasantly surprised by any information I can lend. So you're offering to help us? Very rare for an owl, Bolt interjected. I don't remember the voices that I did for Bolt, but I do know that I'm not sure if it's like this. The owl pompously pushed his chest out in a way to shrug off Bolt's insult. I think you've been grossly misinformed about our species, and actually we can be quite helpful, and of course, wise. Yes, of course, Plucky said sarcastically, out of earshot of the owl. I'm currently reminded of two wise owls. Owl, Tawny Owl, and Hollow Owl. So, where might your travels be taking you? The owl asked again. We're travelling to White Deer Park. It's a nature reserve, Dash began. Aha! Trying to make your own legend, are you then? The owl interrupted. Excuse me? Dash said, offended by the owl's interruption. I know all about the legend of the Animals of Farthing Wood. Their valiant quest to a new home in White Deer Park. Yes, certainly an interesting story. Do you happen to know how far away the park is? Plucky questioned the owl impatiently. Obviously, the bird had been around a lot. Oh, heavens above! A long way from here still. You'll be travelling until summer at your current pace. But we've been travelling for weeks, Woody exclaimed. And my paws are killing me, Jester exclaimed too. I thought we were making good progress, Dash spoke forlornly. Apparently not enough, Perry added on negatively too. Well, the longer we spend taking breaks and resting, the more time it's going to take us. We should keep moving, Scarlet cut in. Scarlet's right, and we've already come too far to give up now, Plucky asserted, feeling the growing negative thoughts in the group. If I might interject, seeing as my assistant says it has its desired effect, the owl spoke to them all, if you need to get a long way in a short time, you could take the train. Ooh, train? Are we going to be going on Thomas the Tank Engine? He'll be pulling Annie and Clarabelle. I just forgot this isn't the island of Sodor, and Thomas the Tank Engine does not appear in the Animals of Farthing Wood universe. Sorry. Train? Plucky asked, confused. Yes, it's a human machine. A transport vehicle, particularly. How are we supposed to get on a train full of humans? Scarlet said judgmentally. This train isn't. It transports cargo, supplies. Usually it's just full of boxes and such. No humans in sight, the owl continued. No humans except the driver, apparently. Still, how are we supposed to get on if it's moving? Scarlet judged again. There's a part of the railway not too far from here that goes uphill. The train always slows down to ascend it. One comes along every afternoon. You could run alongside and jump on. There's always one of the carriages with a door left open. Humans are often careless of such things. How do we know when to get off? Plucky now spoke. It slows down through the towns. I think the sixth one down the line is Whitehaven. It's right next to White Deer Park. It'll be morning before you get there, though, but you could get to the park by the end of tomorrow if you're lucky. The town next to White Deer Park is called Whitehaven? And Farthington? I wonder if they exist. I gotta look them up on Google Maps if I get the chance. Well, let's settle then, Dash said excitedly. Which way is the railway? Plucky asked the owl. Which way is the railway? Just another couple of miles that way. You can't miss it, the owl said, pointing his wing in the direction they were already traveling. Thank you so much. Sorry, we never asked your name, Plucky began. It doesn't matter, the owl chuckled. Not like you'll be seeing me again. Well, you can join us if you wish, Dash asked the owl. Oh, goodness, no. I'm far too stubborn to take such an oath, the owl laughed. I'm just glad to lend a helping wing. I will bid you farewell and good fortunes on your travels. I'll name you Good Fortune then, because you are the Owl of Good Fortune. Yes, you too, Dash said thankfully. The group continued with renewed confidence after thanking the Good Fortune Owl. If they got on this train, they could be at White Deer Park by the end of tomorrow, and their perilous journey will be at an end. Oh, just be sure to get off the train. If you reach the big city, you've gone too far. The Good Fortune Owl called out before flying off himself. He was unsure if they had heard him or not, but he took off and continued on his own adventures nonetheless. Big city? Okay. With this new opportunity, the band of animals had become more enthusiastic and soon reached the railway line traveling safely. The rails cut across the ground down in the large ditch with two high banks either side. The group was still at the top of the bank where there was a number of trees, but closer to the edge it was clear and full of luscious green grass. Perry! What do you see? Plucky called up to the flying falcon. Nothing yet. Track's completely empty, Perry announced after falling down. Well, we're perfectly ready for it when it comes, Bolt said keenly. Does this mean we can go off and forage for a bit? Jester asked. Yeah, I'm quite peckish, Dash said. Me too, Woody added on. Very well, but don't go too far. And be careful, Plucky ordered. The two squirrels and hares went off around the place looking for food. Woody and Jester quickly scurried up a nearby tree, while Dash and Bolt went wandering together through the grass. It was all right for them herbivores, and able to find food almost anywhere, now at least, seeing as there were only patches of snow around here. Plucky, Scarlet, and Perry would have to wait until they had the chance to satisfy their hunger. I'll keep an eye out for the train, Perry announced, taking off into the sky. I will too, Scarlet added, who then turned to Plucky. You need some rest. You look tired. Oh, thanks, Plucky said, a little insulted. I didn't mean it like that, Plucky. I know you haven't been sleeping well. Plucky stayed silent and looked down before responding assertively. I'll sleep better once we get on that train. Speaking of, I can see it! Perry shouted, swooping past them both. It's still far off, though. Can you round up the others? Plucky ordered. Will do! Perry soon rounded up the others as they made their return to the bank. The train was coming up the hill, slowly as the owl had said, almost walking pace for the traveling animals. As the beast of a machine moved closer, the polished steel rails of the track started to whisper eerily with vibrations from the approaching train. As the engine passed them, the classic clickety-click of the wheels along the rails and the loud groaning of the struggling diesel locomotive was all that could be heard. There's an open carriage! Perry called down, bringing attention to an open cargo door on the side of a wooden carriage near the back of the train. That owl's information didn't disappoint, Bolt said, surprised. Right, let's go. We don't have much time, Plucky commanded the others, and they quickly ran down the bank to match the train's speed. Perry remained in the air next to the train, staying vigilant for anything that could cause concern. Down on the ground, the group were scuttling alongside the open train door, Scarlet leading and Plucky at the back, making sure they all got on before he did. Jump on! He shouted from behind them. Scarlet quickly pounced up into the side and landed on the dry wood floor of the train. The squirrel twins jumped next. Jester jumped perfectly, but Woody didn't jump enough and was hanging up from the door until Jester and Scarlet pulled him up. Dash was next and jumped up perfectly, if not a little too much when she fell over, embarrassing herself. She quickly composed herself and helped up Bolt, who struggled over the doorframe after he jumped up. Now Plucky was the only one left running, safe in the knowledge that the others were on board and safe. He was about to jump, but suddenly the carriage started to pull away, forcing him to quicken his pace. This was the fastest he had started to run, since he had to run since sustaining his shotgun wounds, and the scar on his front leg suddenly started to give him some pain the quicker he ran. The plucky young fox just gritted his teeth and continued to run. "Come on, Plucky, you can make it! You can make it, Plucky! I don't want to have to..." Guys, in case it has to, we gotta chant Plucky's name so we can get on the train. "Plucky, go faster! It's speeding up!" Plucky shouted from above, having noticed the locomotive had crested the top of the knoll and was now facing downhill. "I know!" Plucky shouted irritably. "I'm going as fast as I can!" "Come on, Plucky!" Scarlet shouted frantically from the train carriage while the others watched worriedly. "Come on, Plucky! Call his name, guys! Plucky! 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 Plucky!" Plucky was panting heavily as he ran. I think I can. He muttered under his breath. He put all his energy and force into his legs, and was once again alongside the open door, and made his leap with a... Gah! He managed to lift most of his body on board, but began to slip and dug his paws into the wood floor, as his hindquarters were still dangling outside. He just needed something to push his legs off, but there was nothing there to do so. "Come on, Plucky, 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 Plucky!" Thankfully, the others came to his aid. Scarlet had him hook his paws around hers, and dragged him up with help from the rest of the group, too. "Yes! Well done, Plucky! Well done, Scarlet! Well done, everybody!" Now all securely aboard the train, the ground dwellers all either sat or lied on the floor to catch their breath. "That was close," Dash proclaimed, still breathing heavily. "You don't say," Plucky panted. "You okay?" Scarlet asked Plucky worriedly. "Yeah, I think I'll take that rest now, though." Plucky paused, still catching his breath. "Where's Perry?" "Over here," Perry answered from the opposite side of the carriage, perched on some wooden boxes, having flown in from the door on the other side. "Oh, there you are, Perry!" Oh, there you are, Perry! Glad to see you made it." "You don't know how lucky you are to have wings," Plucky joked. "Oh, believe me, I do. Watching you guys running and out of breath makes me very thankful I have these things," Perry laughed, indicating to his wings which the falcon then spread wide to show off. The others all laughed at his comment of how much easier the journey was for him having the ability to fly. If only the rest of us had wings too. But then, how would we be appreciating having to walk along for this entire adventure? Come on, I'm right, don't you think, guys? "Seeing as you two are bound to this carriage for the night, I'll go hunting for you," the falcon continued, talking to Scarlet and Perry. "Thank you, Perry, but don't strain yourself," Scarlet said warmly. "Don't worry, it's not any trouble. I prefer not to be cooped up in here all the time." "So when are we getting off again?" Jester suddenly inquired. "That owl said it was the 6th town along," Bolt said. "But we won't get there till morning," Dash added on. "Until then, I think we just lay back and enjoy the ride," Scarlet announced, grateful for a now long rest. "Well, that's fine by me," Plucky huffed jokily, exhausted, and lied down on the dry wood floor of the rocking train carriage, content with the fact they would reach Journey's End very soon. The train continued across the land on its route, now with its group of hitchhiking animals on board. Across snow-covered grassland, tunnels under hills, and bridges over rivers, hour by hour, the train took them further than they could have gotten months. How about some nice traveling music? Thomas a tank engine rolling along. Woo 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 woo, choo choo, woo 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 woo, choo choo. Thomas the tank engine rolling along. Thomas and his friends. What am I doing? I really need to start thinking better about my music choices. We're going on the rails on a crazy train. Da 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 da. We're going to White Deer Park on this crazy train. Da 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 da. Better. They were on the train from the afternoon onwards, during which they tried to occupy themselves. Woody and Jester, being squirrels, were happy clambering over the massive piled-up wood crates and cardboard boxes at either end of the carriage. Plucky and Dash stuck their heads out the open door of the train, feeling the rush of wind in their faces. It gave them both a great sense of freedom, something they both craved. More than once, though, did they bring their heads back in and out again when some high-speed commuter trains screeched on past their rickety transport. While this was going on, Scarlet and Bolt were chatting while lying on the warm floor of the cabin. Meanwhile, Perry was flying alongside or high above the train. Because he could. Like he said, he didn't want to be cooped up in the train all day, though he would often fly back in for a breather. 'Cause I'm free! Free flying! Okay, sorry about that, guys. Should I, put up a audio warning at the beginning in the description, or nah? As the sun began to fall lower in the sky, and darkness began to descend across the land, Perry went out to hunt, and brought back a couple of does for Plucky and Scarlet, and then he went out again for himself. While the carnivores satisfied their hunger, the two hares and squirrels were racing, sprinting from one end of the carriage to another. The races were very quick and completely unpredictable, the winner usually the one who got the best start off the line, but it was amusing to watch and provided some dinner entertainment for Plucky, Scarlet, and Perry. As the sun started to dip below the horizon, the whole group sat and watched outside of the train, basking in the glorious beauty of the glimmering sunset, the light rippling as they went past the line of trees. After the glowing orb disappeared from view, the sky turned a dark navy blue, and the group were tired from their travels. One by one, they went off to sleep. Perry was the first to slumber, having tired himself out flying most of the time, perched on one of the piles of boxes. Next went Dash and Bolt after Dash let out a large yawn, and reluctantly agreed when Bolt suggested going to sleep, after joking about it. The couple went to shelter between some boxes and drifted off to sleep. Woody and Jester soon went too, one after the other, and climbed to the top of the clump of boxes. Travel really does give you great memories, does it? Memories between two friends. Memories between true friends. Memories that will last a lifetime. Cheers, everybody! Don't know if you heard the tap against my phone while I was doing the cheers thing. Eventually, it was just Plucky and Scarlet left awake. The Fox and Vixen swapped their attention to the opposite side of the carriage, where a deep black sky was littered with stars, and a bright crescent moon that cast a silver radiance across the land as the train carried it on, creeping along it. It's such a beautiful sight. It's such a beautiful night, Scarlet said warmly. It certainly is, Plucky agreed, both of them not removing their gaze from the moving image from the train carriage. Wish we could go hunting out in this. Would be perfect. We? Plucky inquired, turning to look at Scarlet. Well, I'd like us to go hunting together again, Scarlet replied, looking back at him. Don't you remember the last time we went hunting together? We got in quite a big fight. Literally. Scarlet said a little glumly before she continued in a positive tone. That was a long time ago. We know each other better now. Yes, we do, Plucky smiled, before asking warmly. But I still don't know much about who you are or where you came from. Oh, right. We do know that she was called Jinx at one point at the beginning, then her real name is Scarlet, and she does have a connection between the Grey Foxes, which we still don't have any clarification on since Chapter 1, by the way. What I'm trying to say is it would be nice to know more about her. Scarlet was silent for a moment before she spoke. There's a lot to tell, really. Some of which I'd rather not talk about. We got the time, and you never know sharing it might help you, Plucky coaxed softly. I guess, Scarlet said unconvinced.